Hey everybody, how's it going? Hopefully my levels are okay. What have we got? I'll turn that down slightly. Oh hey Scarlet Moth, Jesse Highwind, A Petty here in the chat. I'll need just a moment. Hey! Pro Jared has resubscribed for 12 months saying 1 year hype. Thank you so much. Thank you also, Anna, for the 1 year resub. Yes, I guess this is that time that I'm finally getting to 1 year of being a Twitch affiliate, which is awesome. Thank you guys so much for being a part of our community and showing up to hang out with me. Yeah, alright, well I'm just gonna get started with the stream. I have basically 2 photo sets that are like a part of the same photo set. We shot Bulma technically twice at Fanime. Oh gosh, here's another one. Purple Alzir, thank you for subscribing with Twitch Prime. You guys are great. This particular, oops, I'm bumping my camera. We shot this Bulma costume twice at Fanime, once on Saturday night, and then, no, I'm sorry, Sunday night, and then Monday morning. So I had been wearing a different costume on Sunday, and then I like switched to this so that we could go shoot with my friend Vince, who does cosplay lighting. And so he basically had a photo set up in his hotel room. Oh gosh, here we go! Link fan, thank you so much for the 1 year resub. You guys are awesome. You guys you're coming out for me for this 1 year stream, even though I didn't even consider it that. I didn't know this was gonna happen tonight. But thank you guys for showing up and resubbing for the 1 year. But back to this photo set. These were taken in my friend's hotel room, who had put together this lighting rig that had all of these different colored LEDs on it, and it was the same type of lighting setup that we had used to shoot my Julia costume last fall. But this looks really different, obviously, with Bulma there and with some other features, because I was standing literally in the windowsill of the hotel room with just like the sky behind and the reflections of the curtains and some city lights, which makes for, I think, a kind of cool little environment here. And so I'm lit on all 4 sides by different colors, and that's what's creating this really interesting color combo. So, oh, Jesse Highwind, yes. It was so nice. Thank you for coming and saying hello to me at the swap meet. I had such a great time, and I'm glad that you got to come and say hi. I'm glad that I get to meet people occasionally from our stream, and that was awesome. Thank you so much, Link fan, for the $20 sub or tip, getting us started with that. And I had a goal still going for the Bear Pinafore costs, and so that's what we've got going on today. So anyway, I will just go ahead and get to the editing. Yes, A Petty in the chat was asking, this was cosplay lighting, and yes, cosplay lighting is the name of the guy who does this lighting setup. And so this photo was still taken by Jared, but we were kind of all shooting together. Okay. So I haven't messed with any of this. I've imported it, and I have 30 photos to edit tonight. We'll see if I get through all of them. But this is like the first half of the set. Down here is all these night shots that were taken with this cool lighting setup, and then the other half were all taken the following morning. We got up super early just so we could take some daytime shots with this costume, which was like my original plan when I brought it. So I pretty much decided, nope, JK, we're not doing anything auto. I pretty much decided to put on this costume and shoot it like a spur of the moment, because I had forgotten that my friend Vince does these things. But every Fanime, he has this kind of setup. Oh, I like that. Bringing in a little bit more green in the tint. I don't want to lose the kind of blueness in the hair. I'll keep it small adjustments. But Vince does this pretty much every year. He's really big into group photo shoots and always inviting people to do like studio setups in hotel rooms and stuff. And so I had forgotten that this is like a traditional thing that he does at Fanime, and didn't want to lose my chance to shoot with him. So I remembered that it was happening on Sunday night, the very last night of the con, because it went Friday to Monday. And I was just like, all right, Jared, we were tired from shooting, and we had shot all day with the bear pinafore, and I was just like, this is my last chance. I gotta go over to the rave room, as they call it, with these lights, and get my photos in. And I'm glad I did, because they were awesome. Now, we had a very different camera setup than we're used to working with, because of the fact that we were shooting in such dark conditions. And Jared was also using a tripod, which he normally doesn't. I mean, normally we're just walking around, shooting outside and stuff. But he was using a tripod because it was a pretty low lighting environment. But I like how it came out. I'm just gonna make various color adjustments and get our highlights and shadows situated. I guess I can pretty much bring this up until I feel like it's blown out too much. That's right. Tiny Bear says, original DB, Dragon Ball DBZ's Bulma had a greener hair tint. That's definitely true. She was definitely way more green tinted in the hair. It was like teal, and now in Dragon Ball Super, it's like just straight up blue, which is pretty, but different. Oh, hey, Tricky Love. Welcome. A guy in Toronto tends to do that during conventions. That's pretty cool. I would love to come to a convention in Toronto, but I've never had the chance. Anyway. It was a very different kind of setup than we're used to working with. I want to keep the shadows dark, because that's part of the moodiness of the image, but I still want them brighter than where it was shot, which I can just do that. I'm not gonna mess with that. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. We don't usually shoot, well, we primarily shoot with natural lighting, so that's, you know, daytime shots or golden hour a lot of the time is some of our favorite lighting to work with. And so this was very different for Jared and I, but I think we had a lot of fun with it. I definitely had a lot of fun with it, and Jared seemed to enjoy it as well. So I'm not going to use the like spot tools because my computer can't handle it. I still have not put more RAM in this thing. So I'm going to skip over that stuff for now. That is something I will end up doing on my own before I post the photos. So you can see like a couple little small blemishes in the face that I'll clean up and get rid of, but that will happen when I'm not also actively streaming because my computer hates that. So I was going to mess a little bit, see if clarity or vibrance will do us anything nice. I think clarity a little bit because there was quite a bit of grain. I don't know, maybe the black doesn't need to be that low. I'm looking at the face. I want to keep quite a bit of like a whole range of the within the shadows, and keep like clarity to what you're looking at here. And then as for vibrance, I don't know, it probably doesn't need to be turned up, but whatever. We're working with really bright colors. I'll put that back to fit actually. So vibrance, yeah, I feel like any at all is like just too much. Now, whether or not clarity at 5% or at +5 is really doing very much remains to be seen. Okay. I'm leaving it there. That's what I've decided. I just looked at that back and forth several times, and this is where we're leaving it. Okay. Now let's look at this tone curve and see if there's anything we want to do here. I mean, I'm sure that there will be, but what? Red is very strong in this image, but I kind of want to bring it down slightly so it doesn't overpower the skin. It's also a little bit hard to tell, but the vest for this costume is bright orange and the shirt is red. And with the red hues up really bright, you kind of lose any sort of distinction between them and they both just look really red. So I think bringing the reds down slightly helps the vest be more orange, and then the shirt looks more red in comparison as opposed to just kind of looking the same. And now I can also take the tones more or less out of the shadows. I can't tell if I like that. No, I'll keep them there. I'm gonna delete that control point. Okay. So there's that. I tend to always mess with the colors in the curves before I do my like RGB curves, because that can really change what I want or what I expect from an image. Oh, that's kind of nice. So what I'm doing is adding blue to the background. The image itself is very, the lights we used match the colors of the costume. So there's like this green light, or like this teal light in the hair, and this like white and warm yellow and orange colors are here. And I think that having a little bit of blue in the background creates, or within the shadows, well, just messing with how much is here is going to create some cool effects. So I'll examine that. And I also want to look at over here. The Wham Batman was asking, how long have I been cosplaying? I've been cosplaying for about 5 years. This particular costume is like 3 years old. I had no photos of this costume. I made this in, I'm pretty sure, 2015. I made this when I was living in Texas. So I've moved across the country twice since making this costume, or like putting it together. I only made like a few parts of it, really. I'm pretty sure I dyed that vest, and I cropped the shirt, and I painted the belt, and I styled the wig. And I did like small alterations to every piece, and that was pretty much what I did for this costume. Anyway, that was several years ago, and I never had any evidence of making this costume at all. I didn't have any photos of it, so I'm glad that we shot it twice at one convention now, finally. Let's see. Scarlet Moth said, a photographer of mine waits until it gets to the end of con days and sets up a backlight and a water mister so you can get those great shots of sparkling water droplets as the backdrop behind cosplayers. That's really smart, and we should steal that idea, Jared. If Jared is still watching. Let's get a water mister and a backlight. Jesse Highwind asking, have I ever had a photo shoot where I thought I could edit the imperfection of the makeup but then changed my mind later? That's pretty specific. I don't know. Usually it's like either you're editing something that's really, really small and you're just like, okay, let me tweak that the tiniest bit, or I don't edit it at all. But there's not a lot of heavy editing to makeup, because for the most part, I feel like if I didn't nail it when I actually did my makeup and then did the photo, then I probably can't nail it in editing. Tricky Love is asking if I'm going to Colossal. No, I'm not going to Colossal, but I am going to Acon. So yes and no. Not a break for me because I leave for Acon like 1 week from today. I'm going to go a couple days early to spend some time in Texas with my family. Alright, cool. Yes, this costume did survive the flood because it was just in a drawer somewhere, and so it was just protected and it didn't have any issues. So this is what happens if I take the blues out, which is also very, very interesting. It enunciates the yellows here and makes things look a little bit more yellow. Like it kind of brings out the warmer tones when the blue is absent from the shadows, which might be what I end up choosing because those are the colors that we were using in the shoot. However, this is what it is normally. That was with the extra, I'm sorry, this is with less blue in the shadows. This is what it is normally, and this is what it is with more blue in the shadows. Which is also really nice. I think I like this with blue more than without, because it's creating a contrast where all of the lighted areas, because we used mostly warm lights and then this teal light. So we have like a warm yellow on this side, a bright white that's, you know, showing on the pants, and then quite a bit of like red magenta that's like in the face and the stomach and like reflected in the pants and stuff. And so there's a lot of warmth in the highlights. And so when we make it cool in the shadows, there's I think a really cool contrast there. And it also matches, or it kind of, the hair is kind of a transition point between warm and cool, and I just think this is a cool combination, a nice combination. I like that. I'm gonna keep it. Gives it a nice matte finish. Oh hey, Mallow, yes, I agree. The blue's taken out gives it a more accurate color palette, I think, says Tiny Bear. Oh, you could be right, but sometimes in a photo, I'm not exactly looking for like accuracy in the colors, like, oh, does this costume look like it's the exact color orange as it appears in the animation? I try to do that kind of accuracy when I'm making it, but then by the time it comes to shooting it, I'm more concerned about creating an interesting photograph. Like, I'm more concerned about what colors the photo wants or needs than the costume at that point. I focus on the colors of the costume when I'm making the costume, and I focus on the colors of the photo when I'm editing the photo, if that makes sense. Hey Red Bard, welcome! Got distracted playing Pillars of the Earth. You haven't missed much. I'm still in the first photo because I'm taking my sweet time. And this is Lightroom, where I'll set up the first photo and then continue on to looking at other photos in the set. So let's see if... I think a little bit more light overall is kind of nice, especially in the face, but we still have quite a bit of moodiness in the shadows, which I'll bring them back down a little bit. It's pretty minor. And then as for a matte effect, I don't really want to lose the actual blacks of this image, so I'm not going to do that. That's something I often do with images, but not this time, I don't think. Let me just kind of slide these around and see where I'm most happy with it. That's probably fine. Alright, so we're just making our way down. I've hit all of the major stuff up here. I did not mess with any of my tools on this little palette yet, but we'll get to that. Oh, hey Fanine, welcome! Yeah, the lighting in this shot was done by Vince, aka Darkane of Cospix and Cosplay Lighting. And so he does the rave room setup in his room every year and invites cosplayers to come and shoot at night with cool LED colors that are customizable for every costume. So that's what these are, and I was really excited to get to work with this. Nina and Mallow are both here. Oh, I know who you're talking about. Brian Wolfell? I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, but I've seen the I've seen the artist you've talked about, and so that makes me kind of want to look at his work and see if I like anything there. But anyway, we'll start with Hughes here. And Tricky Love, yes, you know Vince. Yes, so many people know Vince. Vince is a pillar of the community here in Seattle and as a photographer, and so this shot was taken by Jared, but the lighting setup is Vince's. Yeah, he's awesome. Oh, and World of Gwendana is here too. We've got a whole group of friends here chatting. Yeah. Red Bart is cool says, dude, that's one hell of a setup. I wonder how he transports it. It sounds like a lot of lights. You're right, it is a lot of lights, but it's not in the way that you think. And I'll tell you what that means. Looking up top of this photo where I'm moving my mouse, this is a strip of LEDs. That's all that it is. He has 4 strips of LEDs, and in this case, they were mounted within the window frame. So there's no like, he literally taped it to the ceiling. Like he has tape on the ceiling and then tape on the sides of the window frame and taped on the windowsill. And there's just lights taped on the windowsill, and that's what the lighting setup is. So yes, it's cool. It's a lot of lights, but they're all very, very tiny. And so that's the way that this was shot. And there was, I think, one fill light, not in this shot, but in some of the later light shots, we added a fill light in front. It was pretty small, or pretty low lighting, and that's what we were working with. Heck yeah, Nina working on her bunny suit. I'm excited to see you finish that, so good luck with that. Oh, my audio is out of sync with my camera. Ooh, sorry if that's what's happening. Oh, it's fine for other people? Okay, well. Unfortunately, I'm missing Colossal Con, but I have A-Con next week, so lots to do always. All right, so I'm gonna begin just kind of messing my sliders around and seeing what works for me. Just messing with the red hue immediately makes the colors of the vest and shirt more accurate, because this is orange and this is red, and they look just like way too similar with the red light straight on them. And so this is also kind of toning down some of the red, like magenta tones in the skin, which I also like. So many friends here. Thank you guys. I get so excited when I see my friends in the chat talking about their cosplays. As always, if you're working on a cool cosplay or any kind of artistic project, feel free to talk about it and share it with us. So that's bringing it more towards yellow, which I think I will do just a tiny bit. No yellow adjustments. No green adjustments. I feel like most of these don't need a lot of adjusting. It's only adjusting up there. I feel like it slanted more towards green here because I think it's a stronger color combo. Yeah, so just at least a little bit. What did I miss here? Jared says Heidi looks hot as Bulma though. Thank you, Jared. Thirsting over me in the chat. Amazing. Mallow, this costume is from 2015. So yeah. So this is my old costume, but I have done a different version of Bulma that was also very casual like this. It was just a Dragon Con drinking costume. One of those things where you, you know, want to bring something to wear to the con that is really low maintenance, so you can just go and party in. I think having magenta also brought towards purple is really cool, because then it's like bringing in different tones in the pants, like even from one leg to another. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, let's look at saturation now. Red's gonna get bumped up a little bit because I feel like they've... Oh no, I'll leave them. Maybe luminance though, we'll see. There's just so much, there's already so much orange here. yellow is only really showing up in the hair, but I do want more of it. Let's bring it in. It's a nice little highlight. Oh my gosh, Dragon Con is like one of my favorite cons, Mallow. I'm telling you, it's amazing. It's definitely a con that, you know, I go to with a totally different vibe in mind than like Katsucon. Katsucon is where I'm like working hard and trying to do as many shoots as possible and like being really productive. And Dragon Con is like, yeah, whatever, I'm gonna be Bulma and get drunk. But both are very, very fun for me in different ways. And so they both have a place in my year. Do I want more blue? Yeah, I think always just more blue. We're just gonna make this just saturated as hell because, yeah, what's the point of working with these kind of sweet lights if you don't do that? Maybe I won't make it quite as... Yeah, we'll do it. We'll keep it there. Everyone's talking about upcoming cons. Sorry if I'm stressing people out. I'm thinking about the future, getting excited about stuff going on. Okay, and finally, luminance, where things can get brighter. Casual Viking, thanks for 100 bits, saying hello. Hello to you as well. Okay, so I think luminance up in the reds helps a lot. Yoshi Murphy, thank you for your resub of 2 months. Appreciate that. Yeah, World of Quintana, I would love to do some photography with you at Dragon Con, but I think Dragon Con is going to be way more chill for me on like actually trying to like produce things and make things, and way more about socializing with people I don't get to see at other times of the year. I would love to hang out with you, as well as anybody else here that's going to be at Dragon Con. And yeah, that's usually what my Dragon Con is about compared to almost any other con where I'm like trying to do things and trying to be productive and make photos. And Dragon Con, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I'm ready to have a good time. Okay, I'm not gonna mess with that. Yeah, I don't want to blow that out either. Okay. Ah, so the magenta is control on what's actually the white of the pants, have that magenta tone in it. So I think bringing that up is making the pants look more white, but still very vibrant, which I really like. So yeah, that looks pretty good to me. I'm loving this. Dragon Con sounds dope, never been before, says Tiny Bear. It is dope. I love Dragon Con. Oh yeah. Tricky Love, it's a bummer you guys aren't going to Dragon Con, but I don't blame you. It's so far and it's always so expensive. But it's a fun place to be. Hopefully I will make it back this year. My plans are still slightly up in the air, but I'm definitely hoping to be back. Blue teal. Some blue light leak layers on this would look awesome. Says Mallow. I think that's a great idea. I kind of want to write that down. Blue light leak layers. I do want to kind of mess around with more like intentional editing stuff and like trying new things. Blue teal. I really like that idea because I thought about doing something a little bit more with this, since there is like, you know, hints of the background lights, and you see the very strip of the LEDs up there. And then I'm not sure about this curtain, if there's anything I can do to disguise it, or if I would even want to, or just keep it the way that it is. I'm not entirely sure what I want with that. But I do want to just kind of mess around with different stuff that's not just, you know, making my usual color adjustments and then calling it a day. So we'll see. We'll see how much I actually do, or whether I do that very much. But okay, this is without the lens distortion, which, yeah, I like it better, I guess, that way. So lens corrections, got them. Transform, nah. No vignette on this one, because I've already got, we've got a lot of colors going on here. Well, let's mess with it. Nope, hate it. No vignette, okay. Grain, no, there's already quite a lot present. And then camera calibration, I don't really want to mess with because I've already done a lot of color grading elsewhere. So I think that my preliminary edits, at least for this one, are good to go, which is awesome because I spent 40 minutes on just that. And now we can compare it to the next one, which hasn't had any editing yet, and hit previous and see if we still like it. Luckily, I do love it. I still love it. The lighting setup was totally static the entire time. Except when we added a fill light, which actually this includes the fill light. So I take back what I said. Immediately I'm on another photo with a fill light. Because this first one didn't have one. Yeah, okay. So this one is almost the same, except for this one included more blue front light, which is what you're seeing on my face here. So I'm going to make a few adjustments to account for that. But otherwise I still really, really like what we have. And after this photo, the light never changes. We didn't really make any adjustments to it at that point. So I take back my initial comment, but I will almost not need to really keep messing with that. Let me see, just checking in here with the chat. I thought about trying to make a dragon radar prop. I've thought about buying one because you can buy the toys, they're pretty cheap, but I just haven't yet. So Mallow saying she Googles light leak PNGs or JPEGs and place over as a layer, can bring in some cool colors. Yeah. That sounds good. I really like that style as well. So many PNG images you can find of them in many colors. That sounds great, Mallow. I'm definitely gonna try that out and just kind of mess around. Yeah, I agree, Nina. I like that the curtain, or like, I like that there's something there and that there's like some layers, like there's a hint of an environment, but you don't really see exactly what it is. I was just trying to decide if I wanted to just try to change how it looks in some way. Like, I don't know, but I mean, it is probably fine as is. So as for changes I might make to this one, I actually want to bring the exposure slightly down because of the presence of that other light. Oh, do I? Let me go back. No, I guess not. I like it fine up here. Shadows, I think, don't need to be quite as high, though. No, I still like them. I still like them. Alright, I'm messing around. Okay, bringing blacks down does help a little bit more here. Bringing the darkest tones. Because I always try to get at least like a true white pixel and a true black pixel. That was what my photography teacher in college, like the one photography class that I actually took. We were doing light or darkroom photography where we're actually shooting with film. Oh, this looks awesome. Bringing the whites way up too. Because there's a lot of cool different color interactions that are happening on the body and the face and the white fabric of the pants that just looks really, really fun. Oh, I like this so much. And there is some grain in the image, quite a bit, but that's like a style now, so, you know, we're gonna go with it. So, maybe not making a lot of changes to this after all. I made some adjustments for having a little bit more lighting overall, but I don't really want to mess with my colors that much. Ah, Link Fan gifted a tier 1 sub to Nina. Thanks Link Fan for all the subs, and there you go, Nina. Cool, cool. Well, I hope you guys all have fun at Colossal Con. A lot of people that I know are going there. It's another really big cosplay convention, and that's happening this weekend. Is that correct? I think it is. I'm not going, so I don't know as much about that. One thing I'm going to do in this photo is I'm going to try to brighten up the face a little bit. So I'm going to add a little radial filter here that is just exposure. Let's see. Slight increase with the exposure and bringing up the shadows just a little bit. Since there was not a lot of light in the face, that just makes it a little bit more kind of the focus. Although I might tweak that. Okay, I'm not messing with the shadows. I just brought the exposure up, and I actually like that better because then I'm not decreasing the contrast in the face. Isaac's Visions asked if these are my natural curls, and when I read your question, I thought you were talking about the photo of me as Bulma. This is my natural hair, yes. I just put a little bit of curl cream in it when I got out of the shower, and otherwise, yeah, I don't really do anything to it. I just let it dry. So thank you very much, Isaac's Visions. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with these color adjustments actually. I don't want to spend too long on every single photo because I think we can get through these really quickly now that I've got my like initial color grading kind of set up. So let's see how that goes because I'm pretty happy with that one. So as you can see, there's quite a big difference between the one that we just edited versus this one that looks a lot darker and a lot more red. So let's see. That looks pretty nice. There's a lot of contrast there. I think the white's being up so high. I'll tone that back a little bit. But otherwise, I like this. I like that the shadow in, I'm sorry, not shadow, the reflection in the glass, because I'm basically standing against a window at night. So you're looking out at it, the little lights are city lights, and this is my reflection on the glass, and I think it's a really nice, like, kind of, yeah, a literal mirror image of what's going on here. It kind of is a parallel shape that I really, really like. So yeah, let's just keep moving through these. I might continue to make small tweaks here and there because I don't want to lose, as I continue making adjustments. Some things do need to change per photo, but those will probably be pretty small. And I can always go back and look at them again carefully. So this one, I had a radial filter on the face, which I'm going to keep. I'm just going to make sure it's lined up where I want it, which is good. And yeah, cool, let's go. Mallow is here saying, can we talk about how I was watching this girl stream on here of her playing Breath of the Wild the first time and helping with shrines? I believe it, Mallow. You would. I would do that too. Yes, I have so many Legend of Zelda friendships. I feel like all of my friendships are just like Zelda friendships where I just like bond with people over how we both love Legend of Zelda and then it's all over from there. So I'm basically just gonna keep dragging around this like face circle and make sure that it's like pretty much lined up with my face in each image, and otherwise I really like kind of what these light settings I got set up are doing to each one so far. So this is really nice when it actually works out that way and you can, you know, set up, get your settings and then actually keep them, because a lot of the time things change, the light changes so much that I have to keep adjusting every single image. But this was very convenient to not be that kind of situation. Yeah, this is fun. I like how the shadows, like the body across the face and the arms and the stomach, like the colors are sculpting the form. Like the light and the shadow are coming from both sides in different colors. I just love it. I love how this kind of lighting setup can look. Oh, yeah. Alright, well let's keep moving through these because I am really happy with them. Not a lot of changes required from one to another. I may continue doing like small crops and small adjustments that way, but I think my primary goal right now is color grading. This one is a bit too much. This one is, I don't know, maybe Jared made some camera adjustments too, but I think it doesn't need to be. Yeah, it was just overexposed. Let's put it back on 0. That's still a little bit high. Yeah, I may just bring the exposure down. I think probably Jared made changes while he was working and while he was shooting, and so that's why it looks different from the other images. And that way I don't have to keep adjusting individual settings, but we'll keep moving this guy and make sure it still stays as like a face kind of brightening position here. So we'll keep the face a little brighter on this one now. And I remembered just now that I did not move this on this one. Did this one get moved? It did. Okay. Cool. And now we're almost all the way through all of the night shots. So it's like, yeah, just spend 45 minutes on the first one and then 30 seconds on each image after that. Picking my favorites from this set is going to be really hard to find, like the ones that are like the actual best, because it's really going to come down to mostly the pose and like the expression, because the you know, the lighting is the same and the environment is the same in all of them. This one I finally was sitting just because I was trying to think of anything else I could do in this kind of one area without a prop. I am going to keep working on the colors here, but I'm going to check out these others first. No, I guess I'll... Okay, so in these I was sitting in front. Okay, I'll keep going in order. I'll go back to this one and not skip it. So yeah, there's a row of white LEDs directly behind me, and that's why the like bottom of the pants and like the back of my arm and stuff are lit up. So I'm like sitting directly in front of this strip of LEDs. And so the lighting and stuff overall does change a little bit in this image because I'm now lower in the frame. Rather than standing in the windowsill, for the rest of these I was kneeling in the windowsill. So I'm going to make changes to this one and just see how it goes from there. Because you're not seeing nearly as much of the teal light, you're seeing way more of the red side light and the white light from the bottom, and a little bit more of the yellow from behind in the hair. So let's make some adjustments. Everyone's talking about cons. Luis, it's going super well. Thanks for joining us. Red Bard says, can't get over these LEDs, man. These are so wonderful. I agree. I just love them. I love how everything looks because of them. So I'm going to bring the whites back down a little bit because it does not need nearly that much when I'm sitting directly in front of the white LEDs. And highlights overall I still think need to be brighter, but not so much the straight up white. Shadows can also come up a little bit. That's actually helping a lot. I don't want to lose all the color contrast. And then the black tones, I'll bring those up too. And that's revealing a lot more of the window reflection, and it just looks a lot softer overall. So I really like those changes. And we'll do a little bit of tone curve adjustment too, I think. I'm gonna take more red out because we've already lowered the red quite a bit. But yeah, this is helping the blue side light come through when I just bring the red down overall. I'm trying to find the exact like sweet spot that I want it at least for these mid-tones. Okay, bringing it out of the highlights is way more important, I think. Because that's where the face, because the face was just way too red, in my opinion. So now the face is also blue, and you see a little bit more of other stuff going on. That looks nice to me, I think, because now we've got a strong blue shadow and a lot more color balance and a lot of different colors that are present. I like it. All right, let me see if I made any other adjustments. I think blue I'll mess around with and see if I still like the position of these things. So that's with even more blue in the shadows, which I kind of like, because there's even more red as well, so this is like balancing it rather than just overpowering with blue. Ugh, I love it, I love it. Okay, I'm actually really liking where this is going. And bringing the green up too. Because there it is in the hair, just a tiny bit, but it makes a difference. And in the shadows, it also just adds, it makes things a little bit more teal and a little bit less blue, which I really like. Okay, cool. Let's see. Mallow's eating fresh kiwi with coffee ice cream. Oh my gosh, that sounds good. You like the pose? Well, thank you. I was just trying to do something, trying to do a seating pose with my midriff exposed where I'm like leaning back so that my tummy doesn't look crunched up, because that happens to everybody when you sit down, and I'm just like, ugh, make my tummy look long and not like all of my stomach is just folding in on itself. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to RGB and see if I want to make any adjustments to the overall tone curve. No, I think we've got some delicate balance going on. Okay, cool. I really like this. I think I'm done with this one now. I've messed around with all of my exposure kind of adjustments, which I think is, oops, what I needed for this shot. So now we're gonna hit previous again. So this was already, this one I had already hit previous to apply settings from basically 2 photos ago, and now when I hit it again, it's gonna change these settings to be the one that to match the sitting down pose that I just edited. So let's see it. Did it? Come on. There we go. It like didn't respond at first, even though I swear I hit it. And I really like that changes in that too. From the way more overpowered with red and now to a lot brighter and more balanced and with more interesting, cool colors in the background. All right, last few. Previous there. Oh, I haven't been moving my face thing. Okay, hold on. The face circle got moved in this one, right? Yes, it did. So how about this one? Almost. And now this one. I really like this shot. I wasn't quite sure at first, because I don't like my rib cage. I'm like weirdly self-conscious about my rib cage. I'm working on my rib cage though. I don't like how it's like makes this angle, but I think in this photo with this lighting it actually looks really cool, because it's just like contours of the body are interesting, man, and they've got a bunch of different colors on them, and that's cool to look at. So I'm excited for that. I think that looks good. Let's see. Have I ever been to Potbelly? Asked Isaac's Visions. Yes, there's one right by Katsucon, and so every year at Katsucon I always end up eating Potbelly. Food chat, that's right. Scarlet Moth is asking, am I excited for CoxCon? Yes, I am. Except that for CoxCon, I'm not entirely sure what I'm bringing to that, because it's still a little bit a ways. Still got a little bit of time. I love this so much. I love this teal color. These are colors I don't usually shoot with or include in my color grading, and so the fact that I got them in this set is really exciting to me. But yes, Scarlet Moth, I am excited for CoxCon, even though I'm not sure what I'm bringing to that yet. One thing at a time. I have ACON next week, and then CoxCon will be my next event after that, and I can think about it more. Alright, so, yeah, I'm pretty much done with all of the nighttime Bulma shots, at least for now. I am gonna go back and do, like, minor blemish editing on the face, which I just can't do on stream because my computer hates it so much that it makes a stream lag. So, I'll have to take care of that separately, but, otherwise, that will be really minimal changes. Like, you probably won't be able to tell. At least for the stream quality, you probably wouldn't be able to tell a big difference between how this looks and how the final image will be when it's posted. But I might also try some light leak stuff that Mallow recommended, or if you have any other resources, Mallow, that you thought I could look at. I know you recommended Brandon Wolfell, or if that is the correct pronunciation. If you have any other like suggestions for things I can look at, I might consider that when I'm like finishing up these edits after the stream, but I think I'm really happy with where these are for right now. So now I'm gonna move on. That was all of the night shots, and now we are moving on to the daytime Bulma shots, which is still like the second half of this photo set. So it took me about an hour to get through all of that, which is awesome. I spent almost all the time on the first photo, and then the rest of them just right one after another. It was really quick to edit. Okay, so the next morning I got up at 7:30 in the morning and put this costume back on just so that we could shoot in daylight before we drove to the airport. And I'm really, really happy that I did that because I love how it turned out. I'm actually gonna go to the bathroom really quickly since I'm kind of in a transition point. Give me just a moment. I'm gonna go back to our previous photo so I can leave you with one of my finished edits, or mostly finished edits. I'm gonna run and go to the bathroom, give me a few minutes, and we'll be back to do the next photo. Make sure I got my stuff. Thank you guys, thank you. I love the colors in these shots too. All right, and see you in just a minute. Okay, I'm back. Thanks for waiting for me. All right, we're ready to move on to Bulma Part 2, Electric Boogaloo, happening Monday morning at Fanime, right before we checked out of our hotel room. So yeah, I started getting into costume at 7:30 a.m. and then by about 9:30, yeah, it took me about 2 hours. 9:30, we had everything packed up. I was fully in costume as Bulma. And we were ready to walk downstairs and check our bags and do all of that and still have time to explore Fanime and shoot before leaving that day. So this is going to be a totally different edit than my last one, and just for fun I'm going to hit previous and see what it does. Yikes! So we're going to start over. One thing that I am going to do first of all is starting with these profile corrections, because I still like that, I think. Okay. And now we will begin up top. Let's see what auto does for this one. I still don't like it. I'm still not doing that. But I will look at these other settings. Okay. Now, I'm also going to add a little face circle to this one. It doesn't need it as badly in this shot, but I know in a couple of the upcoming shots it will. So I'll go ahead and do it now. Basically the same thing I had before, where I'm just adding like one stop of a little exposure boost into the face. Just to kind of create a little bit more focus there. Overall though, I don't know that the exposure needs to change a lot. I guess it can be one brighter. I do like these bright. Okay, I'm going to switch to this view, which is the same exact tools. You can either view it as hue, saturation, luminance, and do each one of those edits as separate categories where it shows you all colors, or you hit color and then do each color with those 3 categories. So this is just another view of the exact same tool. But this way I think it's a little bit maybe more intuitive to control for me. So I'm bringing the red to be just a little bit more on the orange side. Keep the saturation up because I feel like it just barely, I don't want to mess with it a lot. There's already a lot of color here. And no. Making really minor changes at this point to kind of how these colors are reading. So here I'm adjusting yellow, but you see it in the leaves, and whether or not these where I put this yellow is gonna help determine whether these leaves are super green or way more yellow, which I think is definitely more of a fun kind of color combo for this image. So I'll just leave it about there, not like all the way down, but a little bit further in that direction. I can also eliminate the yellow by bringing that down, but I don't want to do that. I'm not going to mess with saturation because sometimes luminance and saturation can create weird things. So any kind of like, I make more changes with the hue than I do with the saturation or luminance most of the time. And this is green, which is the other half of that kind of color combo, whether we make it way more yellow or way more green, which I still think yellow is like a better complement to what we've got going on here, but not all the way, because we still want some green. Just maybe like there. I don't know, that's just like a matter of taste. As far as color grading goes, like I'm sure that there are other people who could explain it better, but for me it's always just like messing around, having more fun. Mallow says green on the minty side. I wonder how we could, because it's just like getting really like bright. Let's see. Oh, I like the brightness of 2. Like, keep it a little bit more of a true green, but then brighter. Nah, still slightly on the yellow side. I think that's really nice, though. Not quite as far. But luminance here, I think, is really fun. And saturation is bringing it more down. Okay, I think that's a little bit easier on the eyes, because I don't want the background to overpower the brightness of the costume either, and I think that we were borderline kind of skating that that line a little bit. But I think this is softer, where the green is like an interesting complement to what the colors are here, without actually becoming more bright or noticeable. Minty green. What does the minty green look like to you, Mallow? Would that be yellows out? Let me see. Oh, that's interesting too. And that's like a very soft... I kind of like that, actually. Just still messing around. So this is yellow again, where we turn the yellow way more to one side, and it did affect our green leaves. Yeah, I think this is even more interesting than what I had before, because it's like more muted now, but it's still very... It's still a nice compliment. I think there's a little more depth to the image now. Bring the yellows to the greens, because bring the greens to the blues more, bring down the brightness and saturation. Yeah, I definitely want to keep the vibrance, but I like what I've kind of stumbled upon, where the yellows are now down. They are more still on the yellow side in the leaves, but I do actually really like that, because I think it's working with Bulma for me. So this is where I've got it right now. I've already messed around with this quite a bit. And I like it. I like where it's at. Maybe I'll look at it later and change my mind, but... And that's way more muted. And that's where Bulma would really stand out from the backdrop, which I don't want to bring it all the way there. I think that's good. Hey, Travelsome. Messing with contrast. Yeah, I've already adjusted contrast and brought it up some, and I think that I like where the saturation is at overall. But anyway, yeah, I think I'm into that. Now this is just changing the hair only, which I'm not gonna do. So moving on. Blue. Oh, there's not a lot of blue here. Oh, you know what? I haven't messed with curves yet either. I forgot, I just kind of skated past curves. Well, I'm already like halfway done here. I'm gonna leave, since there's no blue present here, really, and there's not a lot of purple or others. I've pretty much gone through all of the really strongly present, so I'm gonna mess with the curves now, after all. Okay. And I do like my matte images. So that's one of the things I tend to do with my edits. Make these kinds of adjustments, which I'll actually keep that kind of flattened and bring this up. It kind of grays out the blacks, and it makes, I don't know, it just has, it has a really nice quality to it. That's the word I'm looking for. And where exactly I place this will make quite a bit of changes. I think that's nice. There's still a lot of light in the image overall, still a lot of color overall, but I think Bulma now is really standing out from the background where there is more shadow, and it's, I don't know, just a little bit moodier. I like it. No, these highlights don't really need to be tweaked. I think they're at a good exposure with the whites and the brightest points in the face and all that. I think I'm actually not going to change the face exposure in this one. I just eliminated the effect rather than actually deleting it, because I'm going to hit next and it'll still be present for the next photo. So there's some curve adjustments. Let's look at colors a little bit first. And like before, whether I want to, here's blue in the shadows, here's a lack of blue in the shadows. It can be nice, but we're already straddling a line between like warm and cool here with the hair and the colors of the jacket and the vest and the shirt. So I don't want to mess with it too much. Here is absence of red and a little bit more red. Oh, I actually kind of like that. That's interesting. A little bit more in the red in the shadows instead of less. Oh, thank you, Travelsome. I was gonna actually post a comparison photo between the art that you did, Travelsome, versus the finished photo of the Bear Pinafore, because I did compare them side by side, and it's amazing. So you did a wonderful job of kind of like anticipating what that was gonna turn into and how it looked. You did wonderfully. I kind of like that. So adding red to the shadows is creating more of a contrast with the green in the background of the leaves, and I really like it. I think it's cool. So yeah, there's their color complement. Chic, yes. And any kind of green changes, probably not. Oh wait, yes, definitely. I love that. Taking greens out of the shadows is enunciating it even more and making everything else look way more vibrant. So this is what it was before, and this is just my little slide step. It's a lot warmer now in the shadows, and it's simultaneously like richer, like almost purpley, warm red, everything, and I love it. Love it, love it. Makes the wig stand out nicely against the leaves, says Nina. Well, thank you so much. I like it too. Okay, cool. I think I'm good on, wait, I did my RGB already? Yeah. I think I'm good on making tone curve adjustments right now. I think that's neat looking. I don't ever do split toning. I hate split toning. Garnet Fury, thank you for subscribing with a tier 1 sub. Okay, I don't want a vignette on this one either. Alright, cool. I guess I'm good on this for now. I really like it overall. I might do a couple readjustments to up top, because I feel like the body looks a little bit like washed out. Maybe not. I don't know. Could be good. Could be fine already. Bringing the tone curve down the slightest amount. Okay. That actually looks fine. I'm happy with that. I don't want to keep spending forever. So this is already at 25 minutes, more or less, 20 minutes maybe, into our adjustments on the first one, and let's see how we apply it to the next. So here's the unedited next shot that is shot in the same kind of location with the same effects. And that one looks quite different. That one I think still needs some warmth. So we're going to revisit this and see if I still like having all of the same changes that we just made. First of all, there needs to be more light on the face on this one, for sure. This one was just a lot darker overall. Oops, no, no! Here we go. My mouse like slipped and then created a new one. So there's that, but I think I'm also going to bring exposure up for the entire image. Yeah. Okay, I'm still going to make some adjustments. Okay, I'm gonna put a gradient filter on this one to make the other side not washed out so much, because I think it's kind of just disappearing and I don't like it. So we'll see if I want to keep changing that later. But at least for now, the lighting is a little bit uneven here. I wish my real hair was the color of my Bulma wig too, Travel-some. It's a nice color. It's fun. Oh, that's right. Jared's also streaming now, or he said he was going to start at some point tonight. I think this needs more in the way of color for sure. So I'm going to start down here and I'm going to look at all the saturations. Actually, no, I take that back. I'm going to stay on color because I made a lot more weird changes to saturation. So first of all, I'm just gonna bring a little bit more back to the green because it just needed something. Yeah, I think keeping it yellow is what this set needs. So I might actually revisit this one too. Let's see how... Because I want the images to have like a sense of unity to them. And this is, I think, achieving that. It's almost also making the figure not look so separated from the background. Like the blue in this image, like the teal hair almost looked like fake. I mean, obviously it's fake hair, but I mean, like, it looked like photoshopped into the image, which it's not. This is like, you know, a naturally taken photo. But there was like almost too much separation. Okay, also having luminance, fixing this luminance. This luminance was up really high, which it did not need to be. Saturation can still stay a little bit low. And definitely staying in the yellowy green side. But I think that's a much better combo now. Okay, so green is where we want it. And I'll just bring some of the saturation back into the yellow. As for other hues, I'm gonna not have any additional saturation in the reds or the oranges because that was just like too much. I think this image can also benefit from a vignette. Just a little. A Petty has dark purple hair now. That sounds fun. Yeah, I almost never dye my hair. I just have all these wigs so I can mess around with having different hair colors that way. Okay, since this one is more of a profile shot, I'm not going to have the profile connections enabled on this one because it creates more of a natural vignette and I think are really nice. Kind of quality to the images. That's from the lens. We shot this with the 50mm lens, 1.4. I don't know what the actual aperture settings, but that was the lens that we have that we primarily use. And there we go. I like this a lot more now. I'm going to compare it back to the previous image and see if they still have a sense of unity between them, which I think they do. I definitely gave these more yellow. Okay. So I'm going to revisit this one and let the yellow come through a little bit more. Let's check out what we did here. Yellow's at 47, 44, 18. Okay, so that was just bringing the yellow up a little bit. And what about green? They don't need to be the same. I'm just kind of comparing them to get a sense of what I did each time. This one's at 60, negative 60, negative 7, and 0. This one is way less saturation, which I will still keep it farther down. And still farther on, 60, negative 7 is what it was at. Yeah, I still want it to be lower in this image. And 0. And letting the shadows come through more. I like that. Okay, cool. So this is kind of a combination of what I was looking at earlier versus what I just adjusted the new image to be. And I think there's much more sense of unity between them now. Zero Jehudi, thank you for 100 bits. Appreciate that. Hey, thanks Metalhead for the sub. And then Sorta Junpei says, about time I did this. You mean just attending a stream? I'm glad to see you here. Thanks guys. And hey, Lure Glow as well. Sorry, June Pei asking how am I doing tonight. I'm doing super well tonight. I'm really excited about these images that we're working on. And I'm just kind of getting them situated as, with the kind of color grading we're going to do for this set. I want to look at this. I added this gradient in earlier. And then I made it do nothing? Are you serious? I took the settings off of it entirely. So this is actually nothing. If I make it brighter in this side, it's actually not bad. But I was gonna look at colors, so that's what I came here for. What happens when I add different colors onto this gradient? Do I like it? Or do I decide, nah, I don't need that kind of color grading here? Well, that's interesting. Having more warm colors brought in. I like it. I won't have it be quite that pronounced. But since we added a lot of like red to the shadows in the previous image, they're not really coming across here, but if I add my own gradient, then they are, because then I'm just adding them. I think that's kind of nice, because it balances out the tones in the image, even though it's not like symmetrical in any way. It's kind of neat. I'm not going to change the exposure. I don't think it needs exposure. I'm trying to decide if I'm happy with this, but I think I am, so I guess I'll move on. I can always keep adjusting. That's the beauty of Lightroom. And just, non-destructive editing is just being able to continue changing things forever. Nina says, loving the gradient and the contrast between the shade of the wig and echoes in the vest. I agree. I definitely agree. Well, thank you. Okay, so we're gonna not have a gradient in this image. So I just hit, you know, previous, and it created this. But this one does not need that. This is just the color settings from this image. Which was taken in the same spot, but with a different framing. And it needs more light. Come on. Photoshop is, oh, I'm in a tool. That's what I'm looking at. Okay. So I don't want that. This is with, right. Here we go. We'll add light to the face. That's what we need. And a little bit overall. I'm going to copy the, am I copying the color settings? Let's see. I'm going to do this, I said, and then immediately was like, no, never mind. There we go. more red in the shadows is helping, I think. Because it's that contrast again. That's what I want for this image. So now I'm not desaturating the greens at all, I'm just making the color adjustment. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, I guess. And this one does have a small vignette on it. Do I want more? Or less? Just that. Just a tiny. Zero Hoodie, thank you for the 100 bits. Oh, it's creeping closer to midnight where you are. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Hey there, the new guy, 64. Let's see. I've got two mice here with two different stuff. Oh, Waffle Giraffe is asking, I have a crush. Oh, hey, what was that? Dragsaw, thank you for resub 2 months in a row. Thank you so much. Back to the question from Waffle Giraffe saying, I have a crush on a girl who's into cosplaying. How do I impress her? I mean, I would say get into cosplay, but I would also say that you should cosplay for yourself and not necessarily for her. But it never hurts to have mutual interests with someone, but you want it to be a genuine mutual interest. So, I mean, if she's into cosplay and you're also you're interested in cosplay, then I would say, yeah, like, go for it and see if maybe you could strike up a friendship over a mutual interest. But I wouldn't recommend faking it if you're actually not into it, but based on your presence in this stream, I would imagine that you're at least slightly interested in cosplay, yeah? And Nina is also suggesting, yeah, offer to help. Cosplayers love help. It's true. It's true. Okay, let's see. The mic is a little low, according to Lure Glow. Let's see what I'm looking. Oh, you know what? I think my desktop audio is higher than normal. So I'm turning that down a little bit. And then now my other settings, I think, are more or less standard. So maybe you can turn the volume on your stream up slightly overall if you're still having issues with the volume settings. But if anybody else has any feedback for me there, I can continue making adjustments. Strange Cup of Tea says Aries just settled into Jared's lap while he works/streams. Yeah, he does that. He likes to go back and forth between us sometimes. Okay. This one, I like. I'm looking at the colors and deciding if I want to make any more changes. I feel like the other colors, or the other images leading up to this were a little bit warmer. And this one seems a little bit cooler. Sorry, this one is cooler by comparison. I'm gonna see if I can just barely tweak the white balance. I like that, yeah. It's like the skin tone is just warmed up just the tiniest amount, and I think it makes a difference. So there we go. Now I'm just gonna hit previous and see what those settings do for this. I like that. There's a lot of white in these images, which, yep, right here. Bring that down. and just keep adjusting my exposure as I like it. My cosplays are goals, says Lure Glow. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Areas of Fire Hands is the new favorite combo. Oh, that's really good. That's a great emote combo. I like that. The new guy says, I've always been interested in cosplay. I've always just been terrified of how people will see me as I'm a bit bigger and I've literally no skill in crafting, cosplay, and no income. Any tips? Practice. Practice is how any of us do anything. How are we doing on these settings? I'm going to try to copy the settings of my beautiful friend here. Which actually I'm going to do here. I want to copy only, what is it? Where is it? Brush, graduated filters. Copy. Only that. And paste it into this one. There it is. Here's my gradient that I just copied off the other image. And I like it a lot here too. Also, I think I'm going to fan it out a little bit more and let it kind of fade off. How does it look with a little bit more blue in the shadow too? Oh, that's interesting, and that's also making it a little bit more balanced, I think. See, a lot of the time I'll make changes to one image in the set and then I'll go back and be like, well, all of these are changing now. But they don't always all need to be changed. Like, you kind of just adjust per image. But, it still frequently results in similar choices. Thank you, A Petty, in the chat with the wings and the fire hands and making all kinds of combos. Luriclo, I'm sorry that you got pushed out of the hobby. I hope that you are able to do it now, that if you want to, if that's what interests you. Nina has some great advice for the new guy, 64, saying, take your time, focus on setting goals, not deadlines. It makes budgeting a lot easier too. That's definitely true. Like, rather than saying, oh, I absolutely have to be ready before this con with this costume, which a lot of the time ends up in disappointment for me personally if I'm not able to make my deadline. Yeah. Just having a goal of, like, finishing a costume, like, you know, over the course of, you know, several months or a year, or not necessarily having like an end goal, but just working until you're done, but knowing that it will take you that kind of extended amount of time and being willing to let it take you that amount of time is a really great way to allow yourself to practice on things, continue refining things, you know, remake things if you want to, and make your patterns and spend your time. And that's how you end up making things that are good, in my opinion, is putting thought into it, putting effort into it, and, you know, putting time into the planning part of it. And, you know, that's how my cosplay has improved personally. So, yeah, I would say just start doing it, but also do it in such a way that you, you know, are being kind to yourself, that you allow yourself to take your time and take your, you know, take the effort slowly so that it's not, so you're not just putting pressure on yourself to do something if you're not ready to. I really like this one. Maybe a tiny bit more vignette here. Not a lot, but just a little. Maybe a little bit more exposure overall. It's hard to get the slider perfectly right sometimes. Hoi hoi, my husband says hi, says Chris Lyon. Did he send people here? Maybe so. Tell him I said hi if anybody else here is watching both streams. Let him know. I'm thinking of him. He took these photos. Shout out to Jared. Shout out to Mr. Pro Jared for being an excellent photographer and making me look good. Alright, this is the last shot that was taken in this section of the... this is where we shot with the... This was like a fountain with a wall of vegetation. It's like a flower wall, but it's more like a leaf wall. So these were all the leaf wall photos. And so for the next part of this set, we were in a different location. I'm gonna paste the gradient to there. I think I had originally taken it out of this image. I'm just going to tone it down some. I'm going to make the color less saturated in this one because it's closer to my face and closer to the edge. So not a lot, but just a slight change. Okay, I'm just looking back over the few that we've done and making sure they have that kind of similar toning to them and that I achieved a sense of kind of unity among them. And I think I did. Oh, here, I think I'm going to brighten the face even more on this one. This one's still a little bit dark. That was a lot. Okay, how about instead of bringing it up that much, I'll bring up the shadows some. There we go. Now the face is a little bit brighter, but not losing... I don't know, I might take that back. Or just make it smaller. And tighter on where it's actually sitting. Okay, that's pretty good, I think. Hey there, Noble Einherjar. Protogenic Jared. Pro Jared, more like protographer Jared. That's right. He is a protographer. Look at him go. Making me look good.
In search of the beat. DJ Drums. How you like it?
Okay. I like these overall. I may still make some adjustments. Whenever I'm editing on stream, I kind of feel more pressured to move on instead of spending just forever tweaking each image because I want to show a good variety of different types of work and stuff. So that's where we're at for now for those. And so that's all of the ones that were taken in this particular little setting. And so from here on out, I have bamboo tree photos. And I think I'm going to totally start from scratch again. I'm gonna hit previous, but I don't think it's gonna work out. I'm just gonna hit previous to show like how, yeah, reset, how I want to start fresh on this. So first of all, this particular image is a little bit overexposed. I don't think the other ones in this set really are, but this was early on and he was still adjusting his settings as we were working, and so this one in particular just got overexposed slightly. So yeah, now I'm just gonna start messing around with things and decide where I want my changes to be. I usually adjust for the skin tone. For myself, pretty pale. And I I don't know. I'm kind of middle of the road between like undertone colors. Anyway, whatever your skin tone is, just adjust until it looks normal for you. And that depends on what you're doing, because obviously, like Bulma, like my skin tone looks odd on these photos where I'm using colored lights. You know, I'm adjusting for the light. The skin is lit up in odd colors, but I still adjusted for the skin and to make it look like normal. And then the other colors in the photo you kind of change from there, rather than trying to change the photo overall and then trying to fix your skin. It looks weird that way, so I just generally will adjust that first with the skin tone in mind of whoever is in the photo. These photos are so naturally bright and beautiful. This whole set, the ones that follow from here, are some of my very favorite photos from the entire weekend. So I don't want to make a ton of color grading changes or anything or make them look weird. I really want to enunciate and keep the like cool, fresh, bright colors that were captured just straight out of the camera. And so these are going to be more straightforward edits than the other ones. Don't feel rushed, at least I'm not a digital art person like Lure Glow, who draws the same line over and over again. Yeah, I mean, it's all different ways. It's also 9 p.m. I've been streaming for about 2 hours, so I have only a small number of photos left, and once I get these set up, I think there are going to be very, very few tweaks on this. So we'll see how long it takes me to do these edits, but I think that we'll be nearing the end of the stream in the next, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour at least. Okay. I'm gonna bring the blacks down a little bit to create a little bit more contrast. Not a lot, because I want this to stay really bright and pretty. I like that Jared has some foreground elements here that are a little bit blurred out. It's really nice. Oh, I might also crop this one. I haven't really done very much cropping of any of these so far. I really like the way he framed almost everything. This kind of bothers me because I want to move it over. So I guess we'll keep the kind of angle on it. I'm going to reset that and just kind of bring it in from this side. Cool, I like that. So I don't want to do a ton of changes to like the colors here, although maybe a little bit. Let's see here. Tone curve overall is pretty well balanced as shot, although this one is still just slightly on the overexposed side. Now, as for a matte look, I would maybe only have that. I would keep it very subtle. But I think it's really nice here because it prevents things from being just like really like high contrasty. I don't know. No, they're still pretty contrasty, but I don't want it to be like really, well, that was accidental. My mouse is rebelling. I guess just keeping harsh shadow out of the image is really what I'm going for, what I'm trying to say. Because this was shot very soft, very bright. Oh, my camera, my monitor, the night light turns on at 9 p.m. and so it just happened as I'm working and I'm like, no, turn off. Off, thank you, finally. Okay, because it was making my colors look really yellow all of a sudden. They were not supposed to. It was throwing me off. Okay, I think that's kind of nice. Now, the only other exception I might make is bringing some blues into the shadows, which I think is really nice. And I'll still soften that a little bit. Okay. Now I took quite a bit of brightness out of it, which I will... No, I guess I'll keep it there. But I'll still bring the highlights up. Okay. And now some color grading. I'm going to do this back in hue, saturation, luminance mode. And I think I'm only going to make some pretty small hue changes here. And these are going to be all kind of along the same lines as other changes I've made throughout this stream, although I want to keep a little more green in this picture because I like these leaves have a little bit more green in them anyway. Okay. Yeah, I don't really want to mess with saturation much. Okay, got our profile connections enabled as well. And no vignette this time. Alright, there's my first shot of these like bamboo series. And so I like how that looks. Let's see if I love it as I apply it to the next images. Now this one does not need to be so dark because it wasn't overexposed. I'm also going to reset the crop because I think most others don't need to be cropped, or at least don't need to be cropped like this. And there's resetting exposure too. Everything else I like. That looks nice. I like the color grading here. Oh, let me check in here. Whoa, that's aesthetic. Thanks. Let's see. Lure Glow is lurking. Have everything. Hope you have a fun rest of your night. I'm excited. Metalhead is calling it a good night. Well, thank you for stopping by, and we will see you next time. I really like this color and how there's like the gray in the backdrop. I like how the color grading is showing up here, and so I'm just gonna keep going. I might have nailed it. This might already be like the end of the stream if these all look good, because these are fun. These are my favorite images from the set, and I think the colors and the lighting that we had here naturally are very, very nice, and I was very happy with it. Oh, I need to look at my... Oh, I don't have a little face circle. I'm gonna give myself a little face circle on just this one because my head is like down, which I need to stop doing that. I have posture problems, I say, as I sit hunched over in my chair as I edit. I've been trying to do a better job of keeping my my head up in photos, and this one I did not do a great job, so I've got to brighten my face a little bit, but otherwise it's a pretty nice shot. I'd say this one I do want to crop a little bit because it's like it wants to be centered, but it's not. This is still off center a little bit, but I like it more this way. No crop on this one. This one wants to be off center. And the face brightening, is that still there? Yeah. I'll keep it. It doesn't hurt. Keep that face bright. And just move it over. I really like the color balance in these. I think it's the perfect amount of like brightness and light coming in without being like super crazy saturated, like too much. No, I'll keep that one down. I think it got slightly brighter as we were shooting, so I'm no longer making any exposure adjustments on these. I'm keeping them as is. But heck yes, I love it when I can just like get through the set almost automatically after setting up those first settings the way that I want them. It was actually super bright outside when we were shooting these, and as we get toward the end of the shoot, you can see me squinting in the photos more and more. In some of the last photo is a little bit odd looking. I'm gonna see if I can salvage it or if I don't want it in the end. But the reason why is literally because it was so bright outside that my eyes are like I'm trying to smile. But I did my best because I really liked this location and the way that the light was hitting and what we were getting. I was just happy that we had gone through with our morning shoot, because I'm not a morning person. It takes me usually a really long time to get into costume, but it was worth it. It was all worth it. And these are some of my very favorite shots here at the very end, where he was shooting. Basically, these are large potted plants, and so I was standing in front of some of them that were like the most full, and then Jared was shooting me through another one, and so these are like the branches and the leaves of another identical plant. It was slightly more sparse, but I'm probably going to crop these a little bit. We'll see about that and how and where. And I think exposure on this one could probably be up a little bit now, because at this point he's shooting me through plants. Let's see how I like cropping it. Because this is nice with like the foreground kind of faded out, but I don't want to lose so much of it. I don't know, I'm just trying to decide on what makes an interesting crop here. I feel like I can lose quite a bit of it and still get the interesting elements, the most interesting elements. Okay. I like that. Zia Kiva says, I really like the bright colors on this outfit. Me too. I'm really into this one. Does it need to be... maybe 24. I'm gonna pull the crop back a little bit on this one. I like seeing this bamboo structure because there's a little bit more hint of something else in the image. And I think that having the figure positioned like still within the middle, but then kind of creating this implied like motion or line of interest is nice. This one, I felt like I had maybe got slightly overexposed, so bring that back down to 24. Yeah, that's good. This is one of my favorite shots. I love this shot. It's a good one. Okay, and finally, me sitting and relaxing. No crop. Reset that entirely. Oh, maybe I'll crop it a tiny bit. It's like at an odd position with the knees, I think. Where you just barely see a turn in the leg. So now it has just tiny crop. I think that looks slightly more comfortable. This was the one I was talking about where my eyes look a little bit odd because I'm squinting and trying not to squint in the bright light. But it is what it is. That's how it turned out. I'm going to see if I can make it look a little bit more normal by photoshopping just to make my eyes look even. So there you go. I'm admitting that I'm going to do that in advance, but we'll see if that actually works out or if it looks odd. Either way, I think I have a lot of other shots where my eyes look normal enough that I probably won't. I won't force it if it doesn't look very good. But that is it. That is my entire stream. I'm really happy with how I was able to assembly line those because that needed very little tweaking. I was so happy with these. I'm going to spend a couple minutes just checking out the chat, making sure I got everything here. Let's see. Kim Barkshirt is asking, is Fanime a good con? Are they all kind of the same? They're not all the same, actually. Fanime is a great con. Fanime is one that has just like a really open, fun environment where it's easy to get to know people and talk to people and make new friends. And not all of them are like that, and it seems odd because I don't know exactly, like that's like an abstract kind of thing, you know. That's not like something that you can quantify or advertise on your website or something. And so it's kind of hard to explain exactly what I mean by that, but I don't know, it's just like a good vibe. Like sometimes it's just good vibes, and it's not always good vibes, and Fanime is good vibes. So that's, I guess, how I can try to explain it. I just barely cropped that one a little bit more, but I like it. Okay. Lure Glow says, I like that you talk through your process as you do it. It's nice and it's technically a tutorial for photo editing. That's right. I'm not like a photo editing expert. A lot of the time I'm just practicing and teaching myself. And that's one of the reasons why I do take chat suggestions sometimes, especially from people who I know are photographers and whose work I'm familiar with. I don't like to just take any random advice from anyone, but I definitely am listening to people whose photography I'm familiar with. So, and saying thank you for streaming and have a wonderful night. That goes to all of you guys too. Thank you for joining me on tonight's stream, and I hope you guys have a wonderful night. That's it for me. That was my whole Bulma set. These will probably get like really minor like tweakings to make sure the skin is like nice and smooth and stuff, but otherwise, you will probably see versions of these images that are very, very similar to this, almost identical, on the internet very soon. So thanks for joining me. It's going to be hard to pick my favorites from this set, but I do my best. I think we have a lot of really fun ones to choose from. All right, well, without any ado, thank you, Mallow, for joining us. Stay Hydrated Bot says, I've been live for over 2 hours, and that's a good point, Stay Hydrated Bot. I'm going to go get something to drink. All right, everyone have a lovely evening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.